Hello, folks, and welcome to another episode of the Deep Learning with PolyAI podcast, the only podcast that has someone who has built and delivered hundreds of custom voice assistants, and also Nathan Liu. Nathan, welcome to the show. I really appreciate it.
I was gonna say you've oversold me there, but
Got to catch you off guard. No, Nathan is our VP of deployments here at PolyAI. He's been with the company for a number of years. Nathan, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do for the company? And then we're going to dive into what everybody is talking about today, which is sort of the concept of voice as an asset in the bigger picture. We work with voice actors a lot. Scarlett Johansson in the news recently going up against OpenAI for use of voice that's awfully similar to hers. So tell us a little bit about what you do, and then we'll get into the meat of it.
yeah. So I'm Nathan. I run our delivery and deployments teams here. That includes dialogue designers who are kind of the ones who make the magic happen for us. So yeah, this voice story has been kind of my life for the past 4 years. I, as many of our team did, started in contact center space. Some of us started in the tech contact center space. I started answering phones from unhappy people. So I like to think that most of the team here have always had like an instinct for what a genuine customer service agent sounds like, and we've been trying to make our voice assistants like that too.
That's amazing. Let's talk a little bit about the process that you do internally. Our traditional product is, creating these really lifelike voice assistants for enterprise contact centers, as you mentioned. We do this in a way that's a little bit different than how other people are approaching voice, in that we bring in a sort of a combination of voice acting along with some synthesized voice. So the concept of working with voice actors has been long standard practice here at PolyAI. Can you tell us a little bit about your process when it comes to creating a new voice assistant for a customer?
Yeah, I think probably one of the first kind of breakthroughs we had in the early days was realizing that when you tell a customer that you're a virtual assistant, that customer tends to react quite negatively.
Sure.
So that led to us starting all our calls with just like a how can I help? And over time that's evolved. It's not a hard and fast rule, but that feeling of you want to make a customer trust you from the outset led to us really focusing on how lifelike we could make the voice assistants.
Sure.
People trust humans, so if they treat us like a human, then it's going to be better for us and it's going to be better for the customer as well. So that's kind of where it started. We worked with many voice actors throughout the years. We worked with voice actors who are very well trained and eloquent. And then we worked with voice actors who are pretty amateur freelancers. And actually the latter is the better ones. They sound engaging. They
probably sound less theatrical too, right? They
Yeah,
sort of
yeah,
cut back the emotive, like I'm on stage, I'm in the moment,
Yeah.
I'm seen.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's where we found, a bit of a niche. Of course, you need the tech to back it up. It doesn't work being really human if whatever the customer says you can't understand. But yeah.
And then when you say we work with a voice actor, like what's the typical process in creating that voice?
Yeah, so things have changed over the years. Originally, it was a very personal relationship where we would record every individual prompt with the voice actor. It meant working with the voice actor to record all 365 days of the year, every time of the day to the nearest 15 minutes, every number up to like 1,000. It was tricky. Fortunately, in the last year, things have become a little bit. The tech has got so good that we can generate these voices, and for things like addresses and dates and times, we can use an existing voice actor and we can completely generate that slot, that date, that time freely, and we don't have to get the voice actor to record that quantity of stuff. And no one wants to do that. No voice actor wants to do that. No company wants to spend that money. So it's kind of win-win for everybody. And then, of course, kind of the third stage of that is having a synthesized voice do it all. As people who have kind of experimented with these text-to-speech voices over the years have probably felt, is that most of them kind of are suited to things like audiobooks, things like that. So we ended up audiobooks and accessibility. So we ended up in the same position that we did 3 years ago, where we have a new challenge in making things as human as possible and making the text-to-speech voices as human as possible. So yeah, that's our third stage. It's how do we create a synthesized voice, which sounds like a 16-year-old on their Saturday job in a call center.
Right. Right. Which is what we all strive for, right? That's the transition. What do we do to put the voice actors at ease when it comes to that concept of, okay, we're not only taking what you've recorded, what you know and have willingly given over as regards to like a package of recorded phrases, numbers 1 through 1,000, et cetera. And the rest we're going to fill in with the synthesized voice. How do you go about putting voice actors at ease, especially at a time right now where there's so much speculation around, is someone going to take what has been sort of my bread and butter from a voice actor's positioning it, and now anyone can recreate it. And we'll go into some like stuff that's in the headlines and talk a little bit more about that. But what do we specifically do? What do you and your team do to put voice actors at ease when it comes to how their voice will be utilized?
So I think we come from a strong standing point in the first place, which is that our customers are proper enterprises. So
Right.
they're not being used by anyone on an app on their phone. They have a specific task, which is something
True.
like track a parcel or book a hotel room. So that tends to, give some comfort to any voice actor we work with anyway. Beyond that, with our top tier of voices, it's not like we're going to create a voice of them and then run away. We create the we create the voice code and then we work with that actor kind of for a much longer period of time. So
Okay.
most text-to-speech systems aren't going to be able to pronounce a brand name perfectly or a product name perfectly. So we still
Sure.
use that actor to record top-up audio and live audio as well on top of the synthesized voice to kind of make sure the quality is perfect. And that means there's an ongoing relationship, there's ongoing work for the actor. And I think any fears about synthesized voices reducing the need for actors is probably unfounded. It's probably doing the opposite, and actually increasing the work that we've been able to give to voice actors.
Yeah, and that's good to know. I'm curious, and I will be asking a little bit more about where you see the future of AI as like an industry enabler within the voice acting space, as opposed to a direct competition. But let's talk about the elephant in the room a little bit. Obviously, in the headlines recently, Scarlett Johansson up against Sam Altman, specifically calling him out as head of OpenAI in that their voice Sky that was released in the recent iteration of GPT-4o for Open, for Omni rather. It sounded a lot like Scarlett Johansson, and not just happenstantially or circumstantially. He had approached the actress a few times and asked her to be a voice. So it caused this big kerfuffle a couple weeks ago with the Drake and Kendrick Lamar rap battle. Drake's entree to that was putting out a song that used a synthesized voice of Tupac. The late rapper, his estate got involved and said, no, you can't do that. Even for this like little beef, they were going to sue him. He ended up taking it down. Now it's caused a lot. I mean, it's in the headlines, right? This concept of your voice is up for grabs. If you recorded anything anywhere, it could probably be taken. Obviously we take a proper course of action with regards to how we work with our voice actors, but just looking at the industry as a whole, what do you think are some easy steps that voice actors and the industry should follow to, maintain the integrity of using someone's voice? Because the legislation is kind of fuzzy on it, right?
I mean, honestly, I didn't think that sounded like Scarlett Johansson until it sounded like Scarlett Johansson. So I don't know how much I believe that story, but putting myself in the shoes of Sam Altman for a second, like there's no reason to do anything malicious there at all. Like there are so many voice actors. There's so much opportunity to get a voice actor who sounds like you want them to sound. And, I think we would be shooting ourselves in the foot if we were to frustrate the voice actor community. And I think OpenAI know that as well. It's probably unfortunate it got this far, as it's scary to voice actors, and we're not out there to alienate voice actors. We're there to work with them and give them work. So it's a bit frustrating to see the situation when it probably was was not the intention of OpenAI.
So
But yeah,
maybe a lot of smoke but no fire here. Perhaps this is something that's the threat of which is a little bit overblown because of some high profile instances, but otherwise this isn't something that it's really going to behoove anyone to violate that trust between actor and industry.
yeah, yeah. Also, I mean, I think how much money would Scarlett Johansson have made if she'd said yes? Maybe,
Something we're
maybe.
all asking ourselves. And also, what can I do to make for a more compelling
Yeah.
voice?
Yeah, exactly.
That's too funny.
Yeah,
You had talked a little bit earlier on about you see AI as being something that's going to better enable this industry. We rolled out recently a voice model or a voice cloning model called Phoebe. We had an episode about it a couple months ago. Obviously, this is something where the technology is there to make really high quality clone voice. Where do you see as being the good combine between a voice actor, organic agents, et cetera, and AI voice clones or AI voice cloning technology to really maximize their stickiness within this space? Again, not AI replacing voice actors, but AI augmenting their capabilities and what they bring to market. Where do you see some opportunities for organic voices and AI voices to combine?
I mean, probably our use cases, enterprise use cases, and
Oh, interesting.
well, that's a surprise and a shock, but it's genuine as well. Um, it's a place where brands are very sensitive about how their brand comes across. Every big organization has a 50-page document saying what words you should use and what words you shouldn't use
Yeah.
in marketing, and then whatever. We have one as well. So I think that it's kind of a perfect place for an actor to give an actor like a limited scope when it comes to cloning their voice. So they've got a clone voice, it's only going to do these things. And it's tuned specifically to that brand. So when we have our biggest customers, we don't reuse voices for like our real big like global brands. They will have a voice which is theirs. It sounds like them, it's recognizable as them and follows their principles. And that's
Right.
also kind of exciting for a voice actor as well. Like you are a representative for that big name. Um, there's Yeah, I mean, I think that's probably where it is. That's kind of the perfect use case. There are general uses. Um, I don't think it's necessarily bad for an actor to clone their voice for like a general use case, but it's always going to feel safer to do it for like a proper enterprise grade use case.
Yeah, I mean, once you have a general clone out in the wild, like it's sort of harder to protect as opposed to within an enterprise use case, like you said, then you're dealing with someone who has an established brand and they're not going to go and violate that and trust of the consumer by misusing or mistreating, an actor, especially when that actor is going to be the voice of their brand ongoing. It seems like it's a loss if they try and do anything shady.
And of course,
Um,
there's always, in addition to that, just maybe goes without saying, with all our synthesized voices, we take steps to ensure the safety of that voice. So
yeah,
the actor, we pay the actor an ongoing fee, and the actor has the opportunity to withdraw their consent at some point in the future as well at set times. So
oh, that's interesting. Kind of giving them an out clause at some point where if you ever
yeah,
feel
I mean,
like it's not going in the right direction.
no one has ever used that out clause. There's no reason to. We would hope that no one ever would.
Right.
You never know. Like that's if you decided to get into politics, maybe that's the time. And
Yeah. You want
oblige.
people playing clips of how you're endorsing, somebody's cat food or something like
Yeah,
that. And you're like, it just doesn't help my campaign. No, I can totally see that. I think the concept of we all make mistakes or something as youths or whatever that we wish we could go back and pull back, but now it's your voice is out there. And if it's representing a brand and all of a sudden something changes for you, that you have the ability to go back and reclaim that. I think that's highly observational from us as a company to say we respect this for you. And so if you ever feel that you're in that position, like you have the right to sort of withdraw your consent. Also, something to point out, it's never happened, right? So
yeah. And we hope
things
it
are
never.
cool. Sure, they're having their friends and
Yeah.
family call up and say, listen, it's just like me.
Exactly. Most of us have cloned our voices internally. Just for our, um,
My Mine is, I feel like mine's a little fuzzier. I don't know if it really brings my subtle curious nuance, but that's actually a good question. A good segue is, one of the things that in the recent unveiling of GPT's 4.0 or 4.0 is the emotionality that the voice demonstrated. And that's seen as like a big leap. I know that that is one of the value propositions that, we had always delivered, is that by using voice actors, it really delivered some things that you couldn't program to, right? Those drawn out, let me see here. And oh yeah, I see that this blah, blah, blah. It just sounded, it had that nice conversational flow. And now, we're seeing some attempts at trying to recapture and replicate that. It's not
Yeah.
perfect. There's still a distinct uncanny valley. Where do you see that going in the future? How do you, first of all, what are your opinions on the 4.0 emotionality? And is it anywhere close to being able to, I don't want to say dupe, but convince somebody that it's actually a human talking?
Yeah, I think there's probably 2 points there. So when it comes to emotionality and the personality the voice had, I think we find that it really matters on the source voice really matters. So the voice that you're
Sure.
training. So if you train on a voice which is very well trained in theatrical, the voice that comes out is going to be very well trained in theatrical. If you train on a voice that is much more conversational, if you train on a voice that is flirty, then that's the same thing that's gonna come out as well, which OpenAI did. So I think that's achievable. It's probably not rocket science to make that leap. When it comes to things like extending vowels and uh, sounding like you're thinking and ums and ahs, that's a little bit more tricky, but fortunately, there are a few tools, including speech to speech tools, which allow you to convert your own voice into someone else's voice, which means you can speak in whatever way you want to speak. You can add the ums and ahs that you want to make and still replicate
Interesting.
that voice. Um, so yeah, I mean, it's, we're a lot closer than I think most people think to really being convincingly human. There's always going to be that sense that it's a little bit uncanny. That shouldn't last.
Interesting. Where do you see there as being added opportunities for collaboration on, like, let's say, voice actors, or, maybe internal industry builders that are looking to create their own voice assistant, that want to use voice actors, but also want to leverage the power of AI? What are some more opportunities for collaboration between those two platforms, i.e., human actors and voice technology, voice AI tech?
I think at the moment, the the voice synthesis side and the uh, building an AI agent side are a little bit different. They're two different things.
Hmm.
Uh, we have uh, we have Jupiter, right, which is our generative AI platform to build an agent, and we have a set of standard voices and we have a set of enterprise grade voices which are used by our customers, and they're separate. But it's almost, in fact, it is certain that give it a little bit of time, and that will be one thing. It will be, here is the contact center, is my highest performing contact center agent, and
Hmm.
they're going to talk into a platform for a few seconds, and they're going to be, uh, there's going to be a voice assistant in their voice with all the knowledge of their contact center. That's
Incredible.
all, and that's not too far away. It's not there yet, but it's not too far away. But yeah, they're a little bit siloed at the moment, and I think they need to be siloed at the moment while voice actors build confidence that this is, something that's going to help the industry and not something that's going to hurt it. And once that confidence there, then we can kind of go the next step. But yeah, we're here to kind of, I guess, help that voice actor industry that we've worked with for many years build that confidence. And doing something like copying someone's voice without their consent would just break that completely. So we're not going to do. Um,
Right. And you would think, I mean, there have been copyright protections in place for other sort of like tonal properties, right? Like music and even audiobook recordings, which are specific to a work, but still carry the same protections. So voice, it's only a matter of time. I guess the question is just like, for music, like, to what extent is a voice similar versus cloned or replicated? And I think it'll be interesting to see, with regards to legislative protections, where those thresholds are drawn. Like, Do you have to have a 15-second thing and match like bar for bar what the note is, what the key is, what octave they're speaking in, et cetera, and assign those tonal qualities that we do for music?
Yeah, people have been able to Photoshop like whatever they want any famous politician or celebrity
Oh, true. Yeah.
for a long time. That is a little bit scary, but we as humans have learned to kind of identify that and have learned to be skeptical about
Yeah.
things we see online, especially if they are controversial. We're all gonna learn that about voice as well.
It's the
So
modern take. I don't know I can't define a deep fake, but I know it when I see it.
exactly.
That's incredible. I'm really fascinated with this concept of the sort of speech to speech. Is that something that we're actively deploying or that we're actively utilizing in some of our voice creation that's happening now?
Yeah, we have voice assistants that are 100% speech to speech right now, where we've used a synthetic voice, but had one of our team speak the script in their own tone and convert to that voice for all of the prompts. So
That's amazing. And what's been the impact for something like that? Just again, kind of combining the voice of the best agent for the enterprise, along with now saying they didn't have to record any of this, and here's what it sounds like. What's been the response from those client customers that have had that sort of voice assistant developed?
I mean, the impact has been zero, right? Because you can't tell that it's not a real person. And
Yeah,
we sell our voice assistants as being incredibly lifelike and engaging and like real. So for them clients, that's exactly what they got.
that's wild. Is there a favorite voice assistant? You could call it out by name or just like some phrase or something that you thought that really stood out from all the ones that you've developed that really like plants itself as one of your favorites?
We all have our favorites, but it wouldn't be fair to the others to say them out loud.
All those children, you don't want to call out
Yeah.
the number one. All right. Well, Nathan, I really appreciate your time today. It was a great conversation, a fascinating topic. Hopefully, this stuff that's in the headlines will fizzle out as pop culture tumult and feuds tend to do. But it's really cool to see that the technology is really better enabling industries, especially like in the contact center and in the customer support and service space. So really appreciate you giving a glimpse into what you and your team do. And thanks for being on the show.
Thank you.